Welcome back to the Cabbage Patch. I'm Dad.
I'm Tommy.
And I'm Gus.
And today, this time, we're reviewing what?
Menace
Among Us. Where did the box go? So you can see the box below me here. You can see the box here. You can see the box here. Anyway, Menace Among Us is a cooperative game that is basically the video game Among Us, where most of the characters are trying to fix the ship.
But there are one or two.
Evil. That are trying to break the ship or kill the other crew members. So the way you fix the ship in Menace Among Us is you get this energy track all the way up to 100, right? So it starts at 0 and it's got to go up to 100. The way you lose the game is the oxygen track has got to go down to 0. So the way the game works and the way it's set up is you, depending on how many players, and we didn't play it ourselves because we don't have enough players, so we played it with our friends the other day, and we had 5 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for 5 players, our oxygen track started way up here, and then we took out these sort of, you have to assemble these to set the game up. Each character type, so this is the Menace. Let's make sure you can see that, right? This is the Menace. The Menace gets a starting deck of 13 cards that are all bad. Things like airlock breaches and explosions and panic. And those do various things that reduce our oxygen, right? So you take these decks out that we've pre-assembled from opening up the cards, and you put the number of players down, face down, and then one person shuffles them and then closes their eye, while everybody closes their eyes, and then the person that first shuffled the decks in piles closes their eyes, and another person opens up and they move the piles around. So then people draw from the face down decks. We only have 2 here, right? We draw randomly. I'll take this deck. So you don't know if you're drawing a Menace or a regular crew. So I took that deck and I got the regular crew. And the regular crew is a deck of 13 cards that are all more or less good. And some of the characters are less great than others. Some of the, agendas, right? So we each get an agenda. So then we take this deck of 13 cards, we put it in front of us. We take the agenda card, we put it next to it. And then we select from an array of characters that give us another 7 cards. And the way it works is we take this, there's a bunch of these cards, and we deal 3 to each player. And then that player, Tommy, for in this instance, would pick the one that he thinks best complements his role, whether he's crew or a Menace, right? And then he gets another 7 cards to make a deck of 20 cards. So everybody starts the game with a deck of 20 cards combined from their agenda deck and their character, right? And then we start playing. In addition to that, there's also Emma, who is the ship's emergency maintenance assistant. Emma has a deck of 20 cards, but Emma is as broken as the ship, so some of her cards are bad cards and some of her cards are good cards, right? So the way the game works is somebody starts as the mission leader, and then they can take one of, what are the actions that they can take? They're over there, right?
Below deck and above deck.
Right, so you can take a below deck action, and you can draw a card. You can play a card, which is playing a below deck card.
Or use an ability.
These are below deck cards. Or you could do an above deck action, which is on your character card here.
And it usually has a cost of either oxygen or energy.
Right. So all of these things have a cost. Almost all of these things have a cost of oxygen or energy. So again, the goal for the crew is to get the energy to 100, or to find all of the menaces and get the energy above this red line, which is probably about 60% or so. So if you've captured all of the menaces, then you don't have to get all the way up to 100. You can just get up to about 2/3 of that. Let's put that over there. All right? So the way the game works is we play a card. If I decide to play a card on my turn, I put a card down, and I put it face down, right? So nobody knows what that card is, and then the next player puts another card face down if they want to play a card. Otherwise, they can draw a card, right? Or they can say, I'm going to use an above deck action. So after everybody at the table decides if they're going to play a card, draw a card, or use an above deck action, so long as there are at least
3.
half of the number of players worth of cards, in this case, if we were playing a 5-player game, we would need one more card, then you'd draw a card from the Emma deck. So then you wouldn't know, then you shuffle these cards, and then you turn them over one at a time and resolve their actions. That was an airlock breach. That was an airlock breach. These both came out of the Menace deck. So we would lose, and then you'd be able to sort of start guessing who the bad guy was, right? So if 2 players both put down airlock breaches, and then a third card came out of here, it would definitely be one of those 2 players that was sus, right?
Yes.
So it's a lot like it's exactly like, I think, Among Us,
Except without all the gameplay.
except for all the running around and doing things. So here you're playing cards and trying to guess who the bad guy is based on the cards that were played, even though you can't with 100% certainty say it was Tommy on that first turn. You have to start building up a body of evidence. The other way that the players can win and lose is to kill
Others.
the menaces, or all the players are killed. And the way you are killed is certain cards will do wounds to your character. And if the character ever gets 2 wounds, he's killed. So when characters are accused, and they're accused successfully,
They are exiled.
they are exiled. When a character is exiled, you follow the things on the cards here. So if the bad guy is successfully exiled, we get 2 oxygen back. If a good guy is exiled accidentally, we lose 3 oxygen. So it's really bad to accuse the wrong person, right? In addition to that person no longer being able to vote on people or use what they call these above deck actions, well, actually that's the other thing. Like you can't, once a character is exiled, they can still play. They're in the brig. They're in jail. They're not dead. They're in jail. They haven't been thrown out the airlock yet. They're just in jail. They can still play cards and influence it. So if you've got a bad guy in jail, that bad guy can still play bad cards on the card playing turn.
But the good guys can all just gang up and beat him up and stab him.
Right. The good guys, if they have the ability, can do damage to him and try to kill him and make him go away entirely.
And
Once you're
gain
killed,
more
you're out of the game.
And gain more oxygen.
When you're exiled, you can't use your above deck actions, which are tremendously helpful if you're good, and sometimes helpful or misleading when you're bad. So that's a terrible way to explain it. I'll link to a video of how to actually play the game in the description, because it's an easy game to play. It took us, I think, maybe a half an hour for 5 people to play it, and right?
Yeah.
So when you want to vote someone off, what do you do, Gus?
You assess them.
You pick up the.
Gun.
There's this cool. Here, give it to me. There's this cool laser gun token that's actually supposed to stand up like this. So when you want to vote, when you want to call a vote for who's sus, you pick it up, and then everybody points at who they think is sus. So you pick this up, and we call a vote, and we do what? We point at. I think it's Gus. And if the majority of people think it's Gus, then Gus is exiled. If there's a tie, like if we're playing a 4-player game and 2 people pick Gus and 2 people pick Tommy,
That's a tie.
that's a tie, then nobody is exiled. If people abstain, if they don't vote, and an equal number of people, if 2 people abstain and 2 people pick Tommy, then it's still a tie. So that's how you vote people off. So it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. It's only for 4 players, which was hard. So we had to wait till we had friends over. And we did. So were you ready? What was your favorite part, Gus?
This.
That's your favorite part?
Yes.
That's why you're going to give it the score you're going to give it?
Yes.
That's not why you're going to use. We never even used that because that
Yeah,
was
I know.
the prop. Actually, I think this is my least favorite part of the game. The prop
That
needs
was a joke. It was a joke.
the prop needs a stand, and the stand is terrible. It doesn't actually stand the gun up. So this is a
That was a joke.
pretty useless piece
That
of
was a
cardboard.
joke.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the game, Gus?
Well,
Did you like the game?
Yeah.
mhm.
What? So did we already ask what you liked about it?
Mm. No, I
Don't think we did.
Okay. So you don't know what you liked about. What did you like about it, Gus?
I liked the mechanics.
What mechanics? What were interesting about that?
there's a lot of mechanics, Gus.
It's like Among Us. That's what I liked.
It's like Among Us. So the playing of the cards, and then the randomization of what might be a good card or a bad card. That was interesting. How about you?
I really liked it. Like, I think the best meta strategy is only play a bad card when there are a lot of other people.
Well, yeah. So I think this game is better at 5 or 6 players and above. I think it'd be really insane with 8 because we got a lot of oxygen to burn through. But you really wouldn't know who the bad guy was. At 4 players, I think it would be too easy to find out who the bad guy was.
Yeah.
I mean, we played it with 5 players, and Gus is a terrible bad guy.
Because he played a bad card, and the AI also played a bad card, and I didn't play a bad card, but I played a good card.
Yeah,
So I immediately
Tommy,
sussed Gus.
Tommy, I immediately knew who that was. So that was harder. But we also, with 5 players, I think we pretty easily got to 100%. So I think a more experienced bad guy player would have done a lot more damage to us. Because I don't think we got anywhere. I don't think we got about, and we still had plenty of oxygen left. So it was cool. It plays pretty quick. It's pretty easy to sort of catch on to, and as I mentioned earlier, I'll put a link to how to play it in the description because they've got some really good tutorials from what is it, Game Smirk and Dagger. Sorry, not Game Smirk. Smirk and Dagger Games put out some good videos on how to play it. The character cards on the other side have a reference in the event that you're supposed to. You want to defend yourself during the game, right? You can't say I played Airlock Breach. You have to say I played a bad card. Or I played a good card, or I played a neutral card, and there's a reference on the back on what each of the cards do. I think it's a neat game. I had fun. It was fun playing with our friends. Ready to give it a score? Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
No.
No? No? Nothing else to add?
Except that you should totally get the game yourself.
Yeah, we got this on clearance at Barnes & Noble for I don't know, it was like $15 or something like that. It was really cheap. It is only for 4 players, so 4 or more players, so you can't play it with 3 players, so that's why we had to do it with friends. But if you like Among Us, I think you'll like this game. You ready to give it a score?
Mm-hmm.
All right, who's going to go first?
Why don't we let Tommy go first?
Okay, what score are you going to give it, Thomas?
3.
Really? I thought you gave it a 2 yesterday. You gave it a 3? All right. You gave it a 3? What about you?
2.
Oh, you were going to give it a 2. And why did you give it a 2 instead of a 3?
Uh,
I think you said it was really hard to be the Menace.
Yeah.
It was really hard not to play bad cards because all you want to do is play bad cards.
and basically the only thing you get if you're a Menace is a bad card.
That's true. That's why you got to pick a good character to balance it out. Right? Cool. I'm going to give it a 2. I don't want to give it a 1 because it's not a terrible game.
So 7.
If I were going to grade it on games that we can play, I'd give it a 1. Right? Because we can't play it because we need to have other people. So let's give it a 6 total. It's good. It's not great, and it does require a minimum player count of 4, which is hard.
Yeah.
Sound good? 6 cabbages. All right. You ready to do the outro?
Yep. Subscribe, like, hit that bell, Tommy.
Leave a comment if you wish.
Eat plenty cabbages, not us though.
Because I'm pretty sure those cabbages were poisoned by someone here.
And they're kind of sus.
All right. Well, thanks. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.